of this meeting was given to the township clerk, was advertised in the West Orange Chronicle and the Star Ledger, and has been posted on the township bulletin board and the township website in accordance with the requirements of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Notification was also made that the meeting would be a virtual meeting, including all details for the public to join the meeting as a video or audio conference. Pardon me 1 second, someone's messaging me. No, it's not Marty. Okay, I will call the roll. I am here. Marty, I'm going to leave open for the moment. Brian is here. Max is here. Andrea, I'm going to leave open. Oh, wait a minute. No, she's asking to be admitted. She is here. Okay. Andrea is here.
Sorry. So sorry.
It's okay. We're still waiting on a few people. We're good. But I did call the meeting to order. Cynthia may have changed her mind and can't join us tonight, but I'm going to leave it open for now. Heath is here. I haven't heard from Jeff, so I'm going to assume he's going to be absent tonight. And Heidi is here. Wonderful. Okay, I sent out today 2 sets of minutes, one from the May 14th meeting, which Heath took, and then the other one from June 11th, which I wrote those. So if everybody could start with the May minutes and read through them and see if you have any comments. Any proposed corrections, deletions, changes? No? Okay.
Well, in item 5, public comment, there's a group of 3 question marks at the very end of the paragraph.
Oh, yes. I don't know what that sentence meant. I put that there.
Okay.
When it says the last study was conducted in 2014, I don't know of any study done by the township planner. There was a site survey that we contracted for, and that was in 2014. Heath, is that what you were talking about?
Likely. Shall I just amend that to say the site survey rather than the last study?
Yeah, we could just say the last HPC Commission site survey of the Main Street corridor in St. Cloud was in 2014. I'll make that change.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Was all I had.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
To accept.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes accepted for May 14th. Now let's move on to July 6th. No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the agenda. June 11th. And folks, take a look, a careful look at the roll call there. Make sure I got it right. My notes were a little unclear as to who was here, but I think from memory that this is who attended. But please see if your status is correct on that. Ah, Marty is coming in. There we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Marty.
Hello.
We called the meeting to order, took the roll, and now we reviewed the May minutes, and now we're reviewing the June minutes. We just started reviewing the June minutes. And we had one correction to the May minutes. Any comments or notes so far on the June 11th minutes? Does that mean people are still reading or there's no comments?
Well, I have no comments. I just finished reading.
Okay. Any- Move to accept the minutes, someone?
I move to accept the minutes.
Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, minutes accepted. Thank you. All right. Now, regarding our next meeting, a couple of things. We all agreed last month that we would not have a meeting in August since it's peak vacation time and we always struggle to get a quorum. So we're just going to move ahead and cancel the August meeting, pick up again in September. There's nothing, out there. There's no burning issues out there that, we would be absent for. So we'll be fine. The only thing is, second Wednesday of September is the 10th. I cannot be here that night. So if folks have no objection, I'd like to move the meeting to September 17th. How does that sound? Does that
Fine.
kind of work for people's calendars?
Fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
Okay. Then our next meeting will be the third week of September 17th. All right. Kevin Malonga, I see you're here and we are now entering our public comment period. Anything you want to say to the commission tonight?
Good evening, Brian. Good evening, members of the commission. Thank you for offering me public comment. We've been having further discussions with Public Service Electric and Gas with respect to the proposed project at the corner of Prospect Avenue and Mount Pleasant Avenue. And they are offering us nothing suitable with respect to a replacement of the fence that presently goes around the property. They are willing to maintain or build the new brick piers. Originally, it was just going to be a continuous run of fencing, but the type of fence is completely unsuitable. It's a modern pressed metal security fence that you would see at any industrial site. Certainly not in keeping with the historic character of the existing wrought iron fence. So I'm hoping that the Historic Preservation Commission can become involved in this and urge you to provide public comment at the next zoning board hearing, that is September 18th, when this matter is next scheduled.
Kevin, do you have a photograph of what they're proposing?
I emailed you a brochure that was sent to us for the type of fence. Brian, did you receive that? I emailed that to you this afternoon.
You know, I have not checked my email in the last few hours. Let me take a look. Bear with me.
And although I have entered into a confidentiality agreement with PSENG, I felt comfortable providing this to you because this is the same as they had proposed previously. So this is nothing new.
Okay.
This was part of their planner's report. Same brand of fence, same style of fence.
Okay, I'm downloading it now. I just have to ask, they asked you to sign a confidentiality agreement? On the
Yes,
basis of what?
we are having settlement discussions. So the confidentiality agreement goes to any matter that is part of the meetings that we have held. So we've had discussions about trees, we've had discussions about the stormwater detention system. And at the first meeting that we had months ago, we had discussions about the fence. And the initial discussion that we had then months ago was of a very different tenor from what is being proposed now. This is the same as was originally part of the application package by PSENG to the zoning board back last fall.
So
So this is a public record, this document.
Yeah, if it's in the public record, they, you know, it has to be. All right, I've got it up. Let me see if I can share my screen. There we go. I put up the page that had 4 options in this brochure. Is one of those the one they're proposing?
Stronghold.
Stronghold. Okay. I don't know, folks, if you can see that, this is aluminum, it looks like, or
No, I believe it's steel. It's
Okay.
probably powder coated, but it's certainly a far cry in terms of the look and feel of the present wrought iron.
so they're not choosing one with the spikes on the top.
Now, actually, the Trident one was part of their application. And they said, oh, no, that wasn't supposed to be there. So they backed off on the Trident, that awful looking thing.
You mean with, as it's described, the menacing triple-pointed splayed spear tip?
Exactly. I quoted that at the hearing. I said, is this appropriate for an important intersection in West Orange? That it be menacing?
Boy, somebody could get hurt.
Yeah, someone could get real hurt.
And then the other one where it sort of curves on the top, it looks like the same thing. Yeah, it is the same thing, it's just curved. But anyway, they've backed off those, you say, and now they're just looking at Stronghold. And what color? It looks like blacks, bronze, sand. What are they proposing?
Yeah, I don't know what color. I'm going to presume black, but I don't know that.
Okay. Well, black would match what's up there now.
And you
Oh,
said that they are willing to reconstruct the stone piers, and then I guess they'd want to put this in between.
That's the intention. I have not seen any written proposal or verbal proposal as to exactly what they're going to do. And I've urged them to use the existing footings for those piers so that they don't have to cut down any trees in order to build new ones.
Kevin, could you confirm the height of the new fencing? Is that something that you're aware of?
8 feet.
Okay, thank you.
And what's there
So
now?
much taller.
We don't have 8 feet now, do we? Is this,
No,
No,
is it like 6 feet or something?
I doubt it's even 6 feet.
Yeah.
I think 8 feet requires a variance, no?
yes.
And why is this going before the zoning board?
PSE&G needs a use variance in order to construct the new substation facilities that they propose.
So this is just a piece of what they're proposing.
Yes.
Okay.
So the components basically are substation construction, stormwater detention, cutting down of trees, and replanting of trees. And then the fence.
I mean, are there any other options for the fence that they've talked about? I mean, the most expensive one would be to remove all the existing iron, send it out, have it stripped down and repainted, but I assume they haven't proposed that.
They haven't proposed that, but what I had proposed to them months ago was that they duplicate the existing fence in aluminum using aluminum dowels and make it 8 feet tall. If they have to make it 8 feet tall, make the piers taller so that there's a proper proportion between the piers and the fence. And they could powder coat the aluminum and they wouldn't have the rust issue that they have because of the neglect that public service has offered the existing fence. And, sheer neglect, which is why it looks the way it does.
And what was their response?
It was favorable at the time, and I can't say anything more.
And then what?
I cannot say anything further, again, because of the confidentiality agreement.
Okay.
Is there any,
That does leave us, without important pieces of information, but
Right.
you know what you have to keep confidential.
is there any rationale for why the fence needs to be 8 feet?
They are saying that is the, I don't want to say regulation, but the practice of PSE&G to have fences of that height for proper security. There's also a national electric code that seems to recommend, but I don't think it mandates a fence of that height. I have to ask my expert about that. So my feeling is that a fence of the type that they are proposing here, the stronghold style, that changed the entire character of that corner. You could see it's different from a block away.
Was anything discussed where they say, well, we can have it custom fabricated and do a 1-for-1 replacement?
One of the attorneys on the call for public service had stated that they had done historic looking fences for other matters.
And are they aware of what we discussed at our last meeting, that the site, based on a study the SHPO had done, is eligible for nomination to the National Register?
I informed them of that. We have not had any deep discussions about it. And that's where I'm hoping that the Historic Preservation Commission can become involved to alert the zoning board at a hearing that this needs to be evaluated by more than just the zoning board, that it really should come before the Historic Preservation Commission.
Well, I think the procedure to follow then would not be for us to get involved, put the cart before the horse essentially, before they actually submit something to zoning. I mean, zoning will not pass this in one meeting. But once
Well,
there's something.
Brian, if I may interrupt you there, we've probably have had 4 meetings so far on this matter. So
Okay.
we're getting down to the end where my witness has started to testify. So it would be my 2 witnesses testifying and then a vote by the zoning board. Now it would be different somewhat if we come to a settlement in which my witnesses would not have to testify, but they would have to bring their witnesses back to testify as to the changes to the plan that would comport with the settlement. So I'm sorry for the interruption on that, Brian.
No, it's okay. It's just that what the point I was trying to make is that how I don't see any way the commission can comment on a plan that isn't submitted and already made public.
Well, there is a plan that has been made public. There's the existing plan, and I have not received and that plan includes a fence of this type. So if this is the best they're going to offer, for me, that's not something that we can settle on.
But do I understand what you said, though, that in your negotiations, which I assume have taken place after that plan was put to the zoning board, that other changes like reconstruction of the pillars has been talked about and perhaps agreed to?
Nothing has been agreed with any finality.
All right, a possibility, a strong possibility. However you want to, characterize it.
Well,
My point is, this thing is all in flux, and there seems to be key things that have happened between the last submittal, which was 4 months ago or so, and where everything might be now. Is that correct?
this is a large project with the components that I mentioned. And unless we can come to a settlement on all the components, we won't settle at all. We will leave it in the hands of the zoning board, because we think the zoning board can make it a condition of approval to give us a better fence at a minimum, or preserve certain trees at a minimum. And the zoning board has that authority to do that. And if the applicant, the PSE&G, doesn't like it, then they can appeal that decision.
Kevin, how many lineal feet of fencing will there be?
Oh, Marty, I'm afraid I don't know, but it would be replacing the existing fence that would run along Prospect Avenue and then west on Mount Pleasant Avenue, that entire length. So it's a substantial amount of fence.
I measured this on Google Maps before our last meeting, and
Yes.
it was either 2,000 or 3,000 feet to trace it all along. I don't remember. It's either 2 or 3.
You read my mind. I was about to do a measurement on Google Maps.
Ah, okay. Let's see what that comes up with.
And Kevin, I have another question. Do we know what the posts will look like?
No, see, that's another issue, Heath. We don't have anything with any degree of certainty. So I don't know if they're going to duplicate the existing piers exactly with the same type of brick, the same color brick,
Yeah,
the same use of masonry and brick. No, I don't know anything about that. We have not discussed that.
yeah, and
so-
usually mortars factored into that as well.
Exactly.
Okay,
You know,
thank
the same thing, how big are the mortar lines going to be? And what color is the mortar itself going to be? Those are all open issues.
How do others feel about this?
Oh. There have been questions by the members of the zoning board that have expressed concern, and Peter Ritchie, who's no longer on the zoning board, is an architect. He was very concerned when he was questioning the expert about what's going to happen to this fence. And he thought it was completely inappropriate for what was being proposed with this modern looking fence. So that, I think that with the right questions of our witnesses, and if I have to retain a historic preservation expert, Patrick, are you listening? Then, I will do so if we have to fight PSC&G in this. I really don't want to see that corner destroyed.
So it's about 1,500 feet of fence along the road.
Yeah, but all the way around the whole perimeter of the property.
All right. Give me one moment for that.
I don't know if this fence goes all the way around the property.
From the satellite, it doesn't look like it does.
Yeah, I think that it ends at a point on Mount Pleasant Avenue, just above Marion Drive, perhaps, Max. And
Yep.
I think that is chain link from there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the satellite, and I mean it's hard to see a fence on a satellite image, but you can kind of see the shadow of the brick or the stone piers, and it ends with basically it's only along Prospect Avenue and Mount Pleasant.
Max, can you take a street view of that?
Yes.
And
So around the entire property is 4,500 feet approximately. It's 4,459.
but my guess is that they're not going around the interior sides, just the
No.
street sides.
So and even if they are, I mean, I think the only thing we would care about is the part that the public can actually see.
It's probably a correct assumption. But is there a way of you being able to take a guesstimate of what the height of the piers are and what the height of the fencing would be?
Yeah, give me a sec. I can.
What's this-
Maybe there's some cars in the way that I can compare to.
Count the brick if you can zoom in.
Oh yeah, I could count the bricks.
Mhm.
We got 1, 2. 22 bricks, and then the stone on the bottom and the top.
22.
Yep.
All right.
And the fence is only along the brick portion, and the stone is above it.
22 courses. So it would be less than a 6 foot tall.
Yep.
Pier.
So a brick is what, two like
4 bricks
half
to a foot.
inches about?
4 brick courses would be 1 foot.
Yeah.
So if you divide into 22 courses, that's 5.5 feet plus the stone top. And
Yep.
bottom.
So the wrought iron portion is only the brick part, so about 5.5 feet.
I'm sorry, the wrought iron section is the same height, or
It's the same height as the brick. It does not include the top stone.
Well, it looks to me like, or it seems to me, based on your description, that there's 6-foot piers and 6-foot railing, fence
Yep.
railing. Um,
6 foot piers, 5.5 foot railing.
5.5. All right. So that's not 8 feet. We're not.
Nowhere close.
So we don't, there's a lot of things we don't know. If we can't actually get photos of what they're submitting or what they've been required to submit.
Now, what they have submitted so far, Marty, is for an 8-foot fence.
All right, I mean, there may very well be code issues on what an electrical substation requires with regard to fencing. It's not something I know anything about.
The current fence is pointed, not in a weird trident fashion, but
It is pointed.
it is pointed.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it could do a lot of damage.
No,
Where this, I think
the trident thing is horrendous, but
Yeah.
um,
from a public safety
Yeah.
standpoint, I can't see how the township would say, yeah, go ahead, put that up there. And on the other hand, yeah, you want to keep people from doing something stupid and climbing over the fence and frying themselves at a substation. I mean, it's a mixed bag here.
I wish we could get a better look at what the stronghold fence looks like.
And there is a sample of it at the zoning board office. The zoning board secretary has a sample of it. Should anyone care to take a look at it?
Mhm.
I mean, it's certainly no wrought iron fence, but
No, they're flat pieces of aluminum
Yeah.
that are just bolted on.
okay.
So
It's just very hard to tell from this little 1-inch picture I have on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
There are certainly probably better options available to closely match what's there now. However, if it becomes necessary to identify whether the fence itself or the posts are considered historic, and how it is that we fit into the equation in determining what would be an appropriate replacement for what is there now.
And even if we did want to designate it, by the time we do, they'll probably have torn it down.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm not moving to designate this a local historic landmark. We don't have the funds to do that. And like I say, the state has had that report for 13 years now and has not bothered to nominate this or I believe any of the other properties in that report to the National Register. So, no one's asked us to take a first bite of the apple here. And until this came up, didn't even know about that report. I did ask someone at the SHPO to see if they could find a digital copy of that. So far, I don't have a response.
In the material that mentions nominating this for a national landmark site, do they specifically mention the fencing? Or is it just the buildings that they feel qualified?
I have no way of knowing, Marty. This was just mentioned in a paragraph that 12 sites or whatever it was in 2012 were identified in this report, 2012 report, including this one as eligible for the National Register. But no details.
I'm sorry, Brian. I actually can answer this.
Please.
So I've worked around this eligible property before, not the one in West Orange, but the entirety of it. It's a big historic district. That's the entire transmission line from like Metuchen to wherever it ends up in North Jersey. And it includes everything like the towers, the substations, any buildings, but it's mostly towers and substations. So what you're looking at here is not considered by the SHPO an individually eligible property. It's a contributing resource to a massive historic district that was found eligible because PSE&G needed federal permits, as they often do, from the Energy Regulatory Commission. So it's triggered a 106 finding. So this is a 106 eligibility finding by the federal government for the entirety of this transmission system because it's an early and the one that was one of the first that connected up a major network of utilities. It was electric used to be delivered locally by very tiny electric companies, and in the early part of the 20th century, your region was one of the first to build major connected networks, and that's the significance of it. So it's not significant for architecture. It's not significant for fences. It's significant as a big technological system that was designed at a certain time. So no one's looked at the fence at the SHPO, I can guarantee it. And if the fence is considered a contributing element, it's like a minor landscape element, and there probably would have to be some research done to make sure it actually dates from the period of significance. It probably does, but it's complicated. But no one at the SHPO or Federal Energy or PSE&G is ever going to list it on the National Register. It's not in the cards. If that helps.
That is helpful. Thank you.
Clarifies a lot of things.
So our only kind of thing is just to push the zoning board that we'd like a better fence.
Well, from a procedural standpoint, I would like the zoning board to refer the package down to us for formal comment, not one of us showing up, speaking at a meeting, sending a letter. I mean, we as an entire commission would need to look at the whole package and make a comment. I mean, that's how our role is defined regarding the zoning board and the planning board. But it sounds like we're not there yet. And I don't know when we would be there. I mean, I can have a discussion with the zoning officer. And basically, maybe I could just say to her, this doesn't seem to be in a rush. I don't know if PSE&G has any timeline where they want to get this settled and get the work done, but there seems to be more than enough time for the zoning board to refer this down to us for formal comment. And that's something I want them to start to do. Planning board has turned around, is pretty good at it, but so far, in my 20 years on the commission, zoning board has not referred anything to us. Marty, do you ever recall?
No.
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 And yet it's written right in the ordinance, there should be.
Right. They should be. But we can start with this.
What do other folks think?
I think you're right. We really have to respond to what it is that the zoning board sends us. I mean, they are required, you're absolutely right, to have the HPC review any property that is a designated property or potentially designated property would be more suitable for me in my beliefs. But until we get something from them formally, I'm not sure we have any standing to go before them.
But if they were to refer it down, we considered it and then gave them a written response, that can be part of the record.
Well, as I mentioned at the last meeting, someone would have to testify. Because if it's merely a report, that would not be admissible. The applicant would have to have the opportunity, and any objectors, the opportunity to examine or cross-examine.
That's fine. We could submit our written review and one of us could then attend a meeting and be questioned. That's fine.
But what happens if the zoning board does not send it to you, but you still think that maybe there is, a scintilla of historic value to the way the fence and the piers look now?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Keith, I'm not sure your question.
Well, that's if the zoning board, the zoning officer speaks to the zoning board chairman, and the zoning board chairman says, okay, I am glad that Chairman Feeney is interested in this, but I'm not sending it down to the Historic Preservation Commission. I don't think it warrants it. So that leaves us at a loss.
Well, then I would have to deal with it. I mean, I'm not sure that the chair would defy the zoning officer if she knows she's on good footing there. But I'm not going to predict what they're going to do. Let's see what happens.
Okay,
But I
well,
still
Would
think
it
that
help to send them a reminder that they are required to have us review any property that,
I would do that verbally through the zoning officer.
okay,
Kevin,
if I-
can you repeat when the next zoning meeting is for this situation?
yes, September 18th.
September 18th, thank you.
You're welcome. And I have one final comment, and I'll be brief. Again, I urge that the Historic Preservation Commission consider Main Street corridor designation as historic. The planning board, I understand, I was not present at the meeting, but I understand from someone who was approved the applicant for that office building that we had discussed previously.
The one that's set back from the road there.
Yes. So with the Americana Diner being closed and with the adjacent pharmacy being closed, evidently there's the likelihood of further development on Main Street, and we don't know what it's going to look like. And we really don't have the opportunity to control it unless there is a designation.
Well, going back months, when one of the members of the council raised the question to us about creating an historic district for Main Street, specifically that area of Main Street, we answered them. We, told them what that would involve, and the response that I got back was, well, then we probably can't proceed until we have a town planner.
Which will never happen.
and the funds available to go forward.
But I mean, it's like, I told the council what it would cost, and no one raised their hand, say, fine, here's a check. So to just do a designation report, do a study, but all that, that's all that would do is take a look. Patrick, why don't you, since you're still on, describe what that would do? Suppose we contracted with Hunter to do a study of Lower Main Street there, to look at the question of establishing an historic district.
We would do a designation report that in many respects would be similar to the individual designation reports we've already prepared for you, except it would be a more, more buildings, a more robust document. And it would give our professional opinion whether the district meets the criteria set out in the township ordinance for an historic district. We identify periods of significance, identify all the contributing resources, buildings, landscape features, etc., streetscape, and then that would be, then you would follow your designation process. Whereas your committee would review that, and if you chose to, you could refer it forward to the planning board for adoption into the city plan.
About how long do you think a study of that magnitude would take?
I actually don't think the study's going to take that long because we looked at it back in 2014 with the Main Street survey that we did. And so we've looked at many of the buildings, and as you may recall, that designation report, so even though we weren't charged with identifying historic districts or creating or suggesting boundaries for them, we did at the time make the comment in the report that we thought it had the potential of an historic district, even though because many of the buildings didn't rise to the individual level, but we thought collectively they might. So I feel confident. I haven't been there to really look at it carefully, for over 10 years. But at the time, I felt confident that there was sufficient integrity and sufficient significance to very likely meet the criteria.
There are already about a half dozen locally designated buildings on Main Street.
Right. So I guess I didn't really get around to answering your question. How long do I think it would take? Probably for us to, if we were to give a notice to proceed, maybe 3 months to prepare a report.
All right.
But let me point out,
This
this
is something that can be done that quickly, in its totality. It's getting the report done. We may or may not have to take several bids. I mean, there may be a bidding process. It's not something that can be done that quickly, is what
Right. I was talking like just from
I mean,
the
at
consultant's
our
point
end,
of view, it's,
take
you know,
some time
yeah.
to digest it
Yeah.
and determine whether we approve the recommendation and pass it on to the planning board, the council, and they
Mhm.
go through their meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one thing I always kind of come up against is that because of the way that everything is structured, there's no fast way to do it. You can't sort of swoop in and say, you know what, from here on in, from here to there is historic. You guys can all take your projects and go home because we're not going to allow that.
You're right, Marty. I mean, if you were to like start pushing on this today, even as your consultant, say I can do a report in 3 months, your process, as you know, even just getting an individual building through all those steps is it can take years, right?
You can.
Yeah. And in the case of an historic district, where you've got one cooperative property owner, it's this way in every community that does this in New Jersey. When you have a single cooperative property owner, it usually goes relatively smoothly. But when you've got an historic district where you're dealing with dozens of different property owners, you will run into opposition, and it's inevitable, and so it slows down the process as well. And it also means that, as you well know, you've got to be really sure you're dotting the I's and crossing all the T's as you go along, because if they decide to challenge it in a legal fashion, they'll be looking for those kinds of procedural slip-ups.
I wish it were otherwise, but it is what
Yeah, I
it
do too.
is. More things would get done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is why for years the administration has told us, you know, it's fine if you want to look at possibilities, but, well, the exact words are there will never be another historic district in West Orange. It's too complicated. You'll never get all the property owners on board. And basically the township doesn't want to deal with lawsuits by property owners. I don't blame them. It's not easy.
Some communities, that's an asset to be able to say that your commercial center is a historic district. And, you know, you advertise it as such when you're trying to attract people to come there.
Mhm.
Well, and that was the whole point of Cape May and what they did.
Mhm.
Huge historic districts down there. The selling point. I don't see that happening here. Kevin, anything else? I do need to move on to other agenda.
I have nothing else, and I thank you very much for your generous offer of time on these subjects.
Thank you for attending. Hold on, let me try and get rid of screen share here. Is everybody still seeing my screen?
Yes,
I just told it to stop, but it didn't. You are screen sharing. Yes, I know that. Stop share. There we go. Okay. Bear with me. I just need to put a light on. My room got very dark. All right. All right, moving on to our next order of business. Patrick Harshbarger, who everyone knows from Hunter Research. He's here tonight to discuss the new site survey, which is in progress. And Patrick, I apologize. I didn't expect that we would take up the whole first hour with public comment. And I know your time is a little tight tonight, but I apologize for that.
No, well, thanks, Brian. It's okay, Mike. I got home right around 7 o'clock, so I hopped on, and my wife is generously keeping dinner warm. So, but no, I'm happy to be here, and to give a brief report on the progress on the survey for the CLG grant. We kicked off the meeting with kicked off the project with a meeting with the SHPO, and Brian was there, and we reviewed the schedule and the deliverables. So we're on the same page with everyone, and we'll be meeting with them, the SHPO staff, on, I think it's July 29th, Brian, for a progress update.
End of the month.
In the month. And then a few weeks ago, we my team met up with Marty and Brian, and we drove and did a quick drive-by on the list of properties to become familiar with them, to hear what Brian and Marty might have to convey to us, get a first impression. And then we've started our field work, and I'm happy to report as of this afternoon, we've visited, I think my team said we've done 63 or 64 properties at this point. And so, Brian, we're pretty much done with the field work, except for getting into Llewellyn Park. And we haven't been to the cemetery yet. Those are the only two properties on the list that we haven't been to.
So with all the storms, they got that much in, huh?
Yeah. we watch the weather, and they manage to dance in and out of the thunderstorms and make it happen. And so our next milestone, I think, is to the SHPO would like us at the end of the month to turn in about half the draft forms. So we started working in the draft forms. It's a database, where we write narratives and then enter data and text into a database. It's their preferred format. And so we've started that, and the next 2 weeks are going to be mostly trying to get through the first half of the property forms. So that's where we are. I think, Brian, you and I need to sort of rally around whether we are actually going to be able to get into Llewellyn Park next week. But other than that's my most outstanding, sort of item, is to try to make sure we can, get in to see the Edison House,
Theodore Edison.
the Theodore Edison House. Yeah.
I think you're aware that Heath is our representative from Llewellyn Park.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
She's one of the 2 trustees of Llewellyn Park.
Three trustees.
She and I had a conversation about this subject this afternoon. So Heath, would you take the floor for a moment?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Brian and I talked about potentially getting in on Wednesday morning. I think that will work. However, I asked Brian why it was Theodore's home that, other than the fact that we'll all know it was recently for sale and we were afraid that it might get into a developer's hands, why that one property was the one that was being eyed, rather than all 3 of the properties that belong to Thomas Edison's children here in the park. So when Mina and Thomas Edison resided in Llewellyn Park, they had 3 children. All 3 children had homes here, which are still standing. One was built in 1900, and the other 2 were built circa 1930. I'm actually going to share my screen and just very quickly. Is that all right, Brian, if I take control?
Just a moment. Let me make sure I have it set for multiple participants. Yes, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to jump into, sorry, this is informal because I just did this when I got home. 43 Glen is like the least prominent of all 3 of those properties.
You're not screen sharing yet.
Okay, here we go. Got it. You should be now. This is the only picture that I could find online. This home has been in neglect for a number of years. It is a double flag lot off of Glen Avenue, meaning that you have to drive down a driveway, you pass one home, and there's one home on Glen Avenue. The driveway leads to a second, and then this one is last. And so this is up toward near the baseball park off of Main Street. I forget what that area is called, but there's like a junior baseball field there. And let's see, this is what the back side of the house looks like. It's listed as 1930 being built. But you can already see like the windows have been modernized. This kitchen is just like it was 20 years ago, the last time I was in this house. Anyway, I'm showing you interior pictures, which don't really matter. I was looking for the exterior ones. Here's another side view of the property. It did have beautiful, beautiful gardens. Thomas Edison's wife, Anne, was quite a prominent gardener and had contributing specimen trees all throughout the property. So that was what my question to Brian was today. When I look at the other 2 properties that are owned by the Edison children, this one being Charles Edison's home. So this one is known as Linwood. I'm sorry, this one is known as Landmore on Linwood Avenue. And Landmore was built by Delano and Aldrich in 1930, and they were prodigies from the Carrera and Hastings firm, which also, and Aldrich, Delano and Aldrich also built Kykuit, Ohika, the Union Club in New York, multiple buildings that are recognized. They did quite a bit in the Georgian style, And you can see that this home sits on 10 acres. This was Charles Edison's library. The last time I was in there, the additions, his original additions were still in the room. They sold with the property. He became, right about the time this home was finished, he became the governor of New Jersey and moved to Drumthwacket. This is more modern furniture and things, but this is the last time the house was sold and probably staged. Just to give you an idea, here's a folly on the grounds for the children. There's a tennis court, there's a pool, beautiful pea gravel driveway, 3 full stories. You can see it's a significant property. It has a beautiful alley. Here's the alley that leads to the home. And you can see like all these really beautiful fruit trees. Anyway, quite a magnificent property. A little over 10,000 square feet, I believe. Oh, here it is, 10,593. The third property of the Edison children is 77 Glen. This belonged to a really good friend of mine until a number of years ago when she sold it. But this was Madeline Edison Sloan's house when she and her new husband went to Paris for their honeymoon. They went off to Normandy and they fell in love with the Norman style architecture, and they recreated a specimen here in New Jersey. So you have this like Tudor style, batten and board like wing back in here, and then you have all kinds of stucco and brickwork. Here's the back. Oops. Here's the back side of the home. This is all rose gardens in here. Now there's a pool down here too. But you can see this one is really of like architectural merit as well. All of the little on the casement windows, the hardware, they were all hand forged in France. It is known to be, this used to be the garage, it's now the kitchen. This floor was known to supposedly be one of the first poured concrete floors in a garage. And this home supposedly has the original air conditioning, these really big ducts here with one of the first homes that was air conditioned. There's another home that purportedly has that same significance in Summit, but these walls, this is all poured concrete that was then painted like as if it's a mural. This is all poured concrete, even the moldings, the ceiling. So there's some different elements about this home. So I was, asking Brian, like, why is it that we're just looking at the one Edison home as opposed to all 3 as a package, unless it's cost prohibitive. But to me, these 2 other homes had more significance than Thomas Edison's home.
The Theodore.
I'm sorry, Theodore's home.
Well, and the quick answer was, and you touched on this already, we got concerned when, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. I was contacted by a developer who said he wanted to buy the Theodore Edison home, knock it down, and build something contemporary and larger in its place. And that didn't, in the end, it didn't happen. I don't know what happened to that developer. I remember at the time he said, there's other vacant lots and things you can consider.
Right.
I don't think you ever heard from him again.
I did not hear from him, but I did have a conversation with him and told him where the other lots were.
Okay. But so it kind of raised the question for us, is a property like that vulnerable, and should we at least get something on paper about it in case it does disappear? I mean, if someone bought it and wanted to knock it down, they're free to do it. It has no designation. But I thought if we at least had some documentation were something like that to happen, we would have something. However, someone else has bought it and, they're just residing in the house as is, correct, Heath?
I don't know what kind of construction's going on over there. I have absolutely no idea. You can't see the house from the street, so I'd actually have to drive down the driveway. It's not visually accessible.
We'll have to get you a drone so you can observe more.
I know.
Well, it's obvious that the 2 other siblings had much more luxurious homes and has a lot of architectural detail, and couple, as you point out, air conditioning, concrete floors, walls. They certainly, in my opinion, they would rank above Theodore's home, which seems much more modest.
Correct.
But are either of these two homes vulnerable? Do you think people would buy? I mean, it's beyond my comprehension, but that someone would buy a home like the two you showed us and knock it down.
Well, I can tell you that the 10 Linwood, the one that was called Landmore, is in very good condition, and there's somebody there. The 77 Glens, the second home that I showed you that belonged to the daughter Madeline, that home there's a young family in. I helped them with some of their design when they first moved in, and I had done some of the design in the home previously from the previous owners. So they intend to stay there for quite a while, and she and he are very involved in the preservation because they've called and asked me certain questions. I don't know who's residing in this house. I mean, I have access to the information. I can get us to walk around the property next week. That's not an issue. I can, as a trustee, I have the ability to do that whether I ask the homeowner or not. I don't know if they're in residence now or whatever, but I'm just, I'm looking at this property and it is just, not only has it not been upkept, but we can see the windows have been modernized and it just really doesn't have that much of a significant architectural theme even running through the interiors. So, but the issue with this home, to me, as a trustee of the park, is that this is a peripheral property, and the builder, the reason why I had a conversation with him, whenever that was, a year ago or so, he was under the assumption that he could just put a driveway in to one of the adjoining roads and, and have private access to the home rather than going through the gates. And we have had a situation here in the park previously where someone was under the impression that if you were a border property and you put your own driveway in, you could bypass our security costs. Like we have basically a sort of HOA fee that comes with living in the park, and I guess some people don't may not want to pay it. So we didn't, and we also, for security reasons, don't want private access through the perimeter. There are only two day-to-day points of egress and ingress. So that's always an issue with us. And so that was one of the reasons why I got involved with the developer too, to just know that that was not something that could be done here in the park. It's prohibited.
Off the top of your head, do you know how many acres this house sits on?
2 point something?
Okay, so it's much smaller than
2.3.
Charles' property.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Do you?
again, if I had to choose only two of the three, I would choose the Charles and Madeline's.
Right. Right. I mean, look at these.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Again, it comes down to a matter of how much will it cost and how do we get the funds?
Right.
But I think the two that you showed us tonight are far more significant.
Well, and if the Theodore Edison house now is not in danger of being razed, that's something we need to consider. Again, our original thought when we talked about this was to just have
Right.
some.
No, the original thought was a good thought.
No, it was a great
It has
thought.
to take care of itself.
Right.
Um,
For the time being, right?
These are two gems, especially Charles's house is pretty special. And then from what you showed, so is Madeline's.
Mm-hmm. There's another Delano and Aldrich house in the park too. Let me figure out what that address is. There are quite a number of like important specimens here. That definitely warrant our watchful eyes. And I'm happy to kind of especially those that we can drive by. This house you can drive by. There's a front approach on Oak Bend, and then on Linwood Way. You can also see the backside, which is really like the tennis court and the pool, etc. But there's access where we don't actually have to go onto the private property for us to get a feel for the home. At 77 Glen, I can just call her and ask her for approval. She wouldn't mind. The other home that I was talking about that's now in Ted Edison's home, I don't know those homeowners, but I can certainly get hold of their phone number and call them. I haven't, just because I've been away and I was kind of just waiting to have another conversation with Brian.
You know, one thing I said to Heath, maybe the next round, you know, in 2 years, if we get another grant, maybe it's time we do a whole new survey of Llewellyn Park.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that that's yes, that's a really interesting and probably a good idea. The you know, it is already a National Register Historic District. I can't remember exactly what year. Heath, do you remember what year it was listed?
Oh,
It's been a while.
it's in the 80s.
It's in the 80s. It's a good nomination for the 1980s, but
This
you
is
know
the
what?
other Delano. This is the
Yeah.
other Delano and Aldrich property, by the way, that just sold.
But
It's,
anyway, it's 40 years old, give or take, and you know, one of the updating the inventory of contributing resources and doing any additional research would make it a more robust document. It's certainly something you could always sort of lean back on at as a commission. You know, you can look at that document and use it as a reference. I know that you know, it's a just like we were talking about the Main Street Historic District, you know, from a local zoning point of view, you know, local landmarking, I know that, you know, there are, you know, you sort of run into the same issues within a big historic district like that. But you might be able to landmark individual buildings. And the way you do that in like in the context of a nomination is if we were to resurvey it, we would probably use a convention that we use in nominations, that there are certain properties that are key contributing. Those would be like the two houses we were just looking at for the Edison siblings. And a key contributing property is considered of high enough significance that it's character defining of the district and could be listed on its own merits. So you would have a very large number of key contributing properties in Llewellyn Park, and there would be some number of others, probably like the Theodore Edison House, that would be contributing, but they wouldn't be key contributing because they don't quite rise to that higher level of being individually significant buildings.
Right.
So that could be something to consider. I think a survey like that would probably be looked on very favorably for a CLG grant.
Okay.
well, I think that all is very, very well put, Patrick. I mean, I remember the bruising we as an HPC got when we were brought in to meet with the Board of Managers. I don't know, Nancy Smiley trying to get various properties or in fact the whole of Llewellyn Park made into a local landmark. And there were some residents that were virulently against that coming to be. But hey, you're the person now that's living there. What do you think the attitude would be?
I think it's an understanding, you know, just educating the proprietors on what it means to have a landmark designated home. You know, a lot of them feel that it might impact the resale value, and sometimes it enhances the resale value. It certainly enhances the historic merit of the architecture. So, you know, that's something that I think it's just a little educational piece needs to go along with it. And some homeowners are very excited about it. I met the woman that just bought at a Christmas party last year. Patty Steele and her husband, whose name I can't remember, his last name is Kushner. They're both radio personalities. Patty Steele used to be with the sidekick for oh, what's his name? He used to have a house here too. Elvis Duran and the Z Morning Zoo. Anyway, they bought the old the McKim White and Mead home that was the home on the Underground Railroad, supposedly. She bought that house, and they're trying to keep every single. She told me about every single nail. They're trying to get original nails to fill in for those that are missing in the original floorboards, and really taking a lot of effort to keep its historic integrity. So, you know, you end up with people like that have homes, and others that don't really care. It's kind of you don't know. You just you can't tell why people are purchasing certain homes. Is it an emotional draw? Is it a historical draw? Is it just because they want a big house with a pretty piece of property? We don't know. So it's you know, I'm happy to have conversations with those that I know, or those that you know that come into the park for the first time about designation. I'm trying to remember how many homes we have here in the park that are already designated. I think it's just 3.
Yes.
Two of them are AJ Davis homes, and then the other one is the McKim house.
Let's see, let me call up the landmark list.
Well, Nancy Smiley's home.
Okay, that's 7 Bloomfield Way.
His home was an Alexander Jackson Davis home built for his mother. That has been, you know, the people that bought it had a big tarp over it for years, and it's a little surprising what it looks like now. Commission was kept in the dark as to what was going on there. The old Bennett house at 27 Oak Bend is another one. That's an AJ Davis house. And then the third one is the one that I mentioned before, which I don't know the number of that. I think it's 29. I think it's 29 or 29 Parkway.
You talking about the Nichols McKim house?
Yeah, the Nichols McKim house.
That's 45 Parkway. That
5.
those
Okay.
of who can go back a few years, that was the house owned by Dr. Raboli, and it was pretty much abandoned, and you know, the woman was just horrible to deal with.
Yeah, it was her daughter had it for 20 years and left the home empty. Right.
No, in the list I have, Heath, now if there's a third one, I'd like to know about it, because the official list, oh, wait a minute. Well,
It's-
there's 3 if you include the gatehouse, but in terms of
No, it's 20. It's
the
20.
homes,
I'm pretty
I
sure.
only-
Sorry.
I only have listed 7 Bloomfield Way and 45 Parkway. You think there's another?
Yeah, I think it's 27. This was the Bennett's house. Nope, that's not it. It's not 27. So it's across the street from this one. What's the number? 23? Sorry to take everybody's time while I fuss around with this. Okay, I'll find it. Keep the meeting going, and I'll take a look and see if I
Yeah,
can.
no, and if there's a house missing from our official list, I need to add it. So I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Patrick, what's your and you can stop screen sharing if you want, Heath.
Okay,
What's your reaction to
this
this?
is the house.
Which one is that?
This is 28 Oak Bend, which was an AJ Davis house.
But is it designated?
I thought so, because I was Susan Bennett used to own this home, and she was very prominent here with the committee of managers and preservation in the park. And I thought she had her house designated, because I remember talking to her about it a long time ago.
No, I don't recall that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, if not, the Shulmans live there now, and I'm sure that they would be interested, because they have really done quite a bit to maintain its beautiful interiors. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can go back to our regularly scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Heath. It was
Okay, my pleasure.
nice.
Great,
nice.
thanks, Heath.
I'm all for directing our next grant towards doing Llewellyn Park. It's a really special place.
I would be happy to conduct a walking tour too. If anybody wants to like, park and walk, we could do a park and walk tour.
I
Um,
would love that. I just enjoy was soaking up all those pictures. It was beautiful.
it would be my pleasure to do that, especially in the spring when all the, everything's in bloom here. It's beautiful.
Patrick, your response to the idea of somehow finding a way now, or if necessary later, to do the 3 Edison homes?
I actually think I've got the budget to do all three, or especially to do them justice, as they should. I think, on the face of things, because they're already in a listed historic district, I'm going to just probably be saying they're already in a listed historic district, and based on the architects and the architecture, they could be, individually landmarked, the two. I'm not sure how far that gets you, at this point. I'd be much more inclined, if you don't think 43 Glen is threatened, at the moment. I'm not sure that, and I actually have to be honest with you, probably just being objective, from what I know right now, and there's still some research to do, I would say if I were to do just 43 Glen, it's probably going to come down because of the changes to the building, and unless it associates with a really great architect or something, it's probably going to be, it's not individually landmarkable, but it's clearly contributing to the historic district because of its age, its associations with the Edison family, and it's part of the park. It's part of the design of how it's all laid out, in terms of like the way the lots were created. So I think in its terracing and that kind of thing. So is that, I guess what I'm saying is, my reaction is we could still go and do that and do a form for it, but that's probably what it's going to say. And it probably will just continue to point you in the direction we've just discussed, which is that, it probably would behoove the community to revisit the older nomination and get an updated inventory of and a list of the buildings that could be individually landmarked, because I don't think you've got that yet for the whole park.
All right, so why don't we take that off the list for now?
Okay.
With since it doesn't seem to be endangered, and to say for the 27 cycle or 26 cycle, whenever the next cycle is, I guess it would be 26, and then possible work in 27.
Mhm.
Think about Llewellyn Park.
Yeah.
Because there's not much left in the general township. Yes, there's a little more that could be done, but if I had to personally prioritize, I think given the little bits that haven't been done versus maybe revisiting Llewellyn Park in the original nomination, I think that would outweigh it. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We don't have.
You are getting a bit ahead of yourself, but yeah, and I think his suggestion about educating the property owners about what these different designations actually mean, in terms of the value of their properties and the assistance that the commission can provide, that I think that's, you can start to lay the groundwork for that as well, so that that when you do get to the point you're doing the survey, everyone's comfortable with why it's being done and what the possible outcomes could be.
Okay.
And I do think, and I really do think for CLG grant, I think the SHPO will jump at the chance to update that denomination. Heath, you probably know, but Llewellyn Park is like in every architectural history book, I've ever read. You know, it's
Well,
it's the beginning of suburban America and the way, you know, the really good suburbs and get developed. And it's super important from a historical point of view. And in fact, I would think it actually has a good chance at, you know, even being a National Historic Landmark if you really wanted to go shoot for the moon, you know.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I think once we do that educational outreach, we may even have proprietors here that are jumping at the chance to have their home, you know, reviewed for as a destination. So,
Yeah.
right, we'll chat more. But if I know that you're going to be up in the area, you know, on Wednesday,
Mhm.
still want to come in, I'm happy to usher you around to see some of these homes. If you want to wait and do it next year, that's fine too. You can talk to Brian and or let me know.
Okay. I welcome that opportunity.
Super.
And Brian, we were going to go try to see that other property. So if you think that fits into your day, that would be awesome.
The Empty Cloud.
The Empty
Mark.
Cloud. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't contacted them yet because I didn't know where we were going to land on
Mhm.
that. Is Wednesday the best day for you?
Wednesday would be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been holding Tuesday and Wednesday, trying to keep them open, for that.
Morning, afternoon, what works for you?
From a point, from a, just because of traffic and whatnot, I think you said, I can't remember what Heath said about her mornings and Brian, what you said, but we're coming up from like Trenton, so it's sometimes really hard to get there super early, but you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock is comfortable usually. Kind of gets the traffic off the parkway a little bit before we get there.
Well, no, there's no rush. Why don't we
Okay.
say 10 o'clock? And I'll see if that works for the monks.
Okay.
And then I'll be back in touch with you to let you know their response. Okay. Folks have any other questions for Patrick before we let him go? No? Okay. Patrick, thank you again for your time tonight.
You're welcome.
And
Patrick, I do have a question. Sorry
Oh.
for jumping in. Caught you just before you got off. When you submit your 50% material to the state, will you send us a copy?
Oh yeah, you will see it first.
Okay. Yeah.
But it'll be a pretty big PDF with, you know, it'll be the forms for that first slug of properties.
All right.
And I'll be honest with you, we're in order to get through to the 30 sort of mark, we're probably doing the low hanging fruit first. Oh,
Good idea.
this is so there are a couple that I'm really intrigued on, and they probably are going to come a little bit later.
so just a reminder, given the fact that we're not meeting in August and then we're not going to meet until September 17th,
Mhm.
by then the whole endeavor is going to be 95% done. You know,
That's right.
of-
Yeah, I think we'll be. I think what we decided, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, was that we were going to have a draft report, full draft report, ready to circulate at the end of August.
And, you know, via Dropbox or something, we could
Mhm.
certainly make that available to the individual commissioners and you could
Yep.
review it. And look, if it was necessary, we can call a special meeting to review.
Mhm.
Again, it's just the 10th of September that I'm not available, but if we wanted to have 2 meetings in September, that's fine. We just have to give 48 hours notice. We could have a special meeting just to review the draft.
Yep. And written comments are welcome too. You know, that's
In fact, why don't we plan on doing that?
Yeah.
When did you think the draft will be done? Late August?
late August. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But you can be doing you know, you'll see it first because you need to see it and say, yes, Patrick, let's go ahead and give that to the SHPO.
Right.
But even while that's happening and they're doing their review, you can be doing your review, and you know, I think that the key to all this is that it just has to all be final. I forget what they said the exact date is, but technically no work can take place after September 30th because of the fiscal year.
You know, normally the contract asks for a slightly earlier date,
And they
that's
asked for it earlier, yeah.
it's just
but-
for wiggle room. But we all know it's September 30th.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Let's see, trying to see on a calendar here. Okay, Labor Day is the 1st of September. The draft report you'll already have put up there and we could circulate. Do folks want to have a meeting on, I don't know, September 3rd? To discuss the draft report? We can have a special meeting.
That's in lieu of the September 17th.
No, we'll still keep our regular meeting because
Oh.
there may be more to review. I don't want to cancel the
So this
meeting.
would be a special meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
What do folks think? What do your calendars say? September 3rd possible for special meeting?
It's good for me.
So far, that's a blank.
That works with
I'm good.
Yeah,
All right, so there'll be an email that'll come out with a link to Dropbox. You still use Dropbox, right, Patrick?
I can use Dropbox if that's best for everybody. Yep.
No, whatever you use. I mean, anything we
I
do.
typically use like a Microsoft share file
Okay,
these days. Yeah.
whatever will work. What's ever the
Okay.
easiest for, especially if we're technically challenged, we just want to click and see the report.
Okay.
So,
Nothing's that easy anymore, Brian.
no, that's true. So you'll get an email before Labor Day with the report. That'll give you a chance to review the draft, and then we'll have a special meeting on the 3rd to formally discuss it. Okay? Sound good to everyone?
yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Patrick?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your attention, and thanks, Heath. That was great. Great information. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, moving on quickly to item B under current business, the Empty Cloud Buddhist Temple. Keep calling it a monastery. It's not, it's a Buddhist temple. Well, as you heard, you know, we discussed this at the last meeting. Mayor McCartney asked us to go ahead and get a designation report done to get the building designated at some point down the road. And Hunter Research is going to do that, and I'll arrange for the Hunter team to go in there next Wednesday to begin looking at the property, and I don't have an end date. You know, look, right now their big concentration is the new site survey. They're going to do some preliminary work now on the Buddhist temple, but I don't think that's going to go full bore until the early fall when they finish work on everything else. But it's good for everyone to know it's underway, and you know, say we'll start next week by getting them onto the property. Item C, the Condit House, which is located at 29 South Valley Road. One of our earliest designations back in the early 90s as a local historic landmark. For those who were on the commission about 2 years ago, the owner of the house, who was a recent owner, had recently acquired the property, came to us to talk about possibly installing solar panels on the roof. In the end, that project never went through, and apparently the house has been sold again. I guess I was contacted in late May by a realtor who wanted to buy the house and actually had developed a whole plan to subdivide the property. The plan was to use the proceeds from subdividing it to completely rehabilitate the house. I don't know what condition the interior of the house is in. I mean, it's very, very, very old. But that was their plan. However, I did get word from him recently that they didn't move fast enough. Someone else swooped in and bought the property. The township was able to tell me who that was. I called that person today. They just sent me the information today. So I called him. I didn't get very far with him. I just wanted to explain that in case he was not aware, and I don't think he was aware, of the historic designation for this property and what it would mean. He was first attentive and listening, but then suddenly just, I'm very busy. I can't talk to you right now. I'll call you back in a couple hours, but I never heard from him. So I'm not going to let it drop. He's, especially if he's not aware that it was a landmark property and, the rights and responsibilities, as it were, that come with that. So I'll stay with him and I'll make sure he knows that. I did notify the zoning officer and the buildings department that because of the recent sale, they need to keep an eye out in case any applications go before zoning, planning, or the building department. So they're aware that 29 South Valley might be in play, or it might not. We'll see. The guy who bought it has a small contracting business here in town, like mostly home renovations. So, and I think it's more important than ever to make him aware that, do what you want in the interior, but don't drive a nail on the exterior of this building until you've come before the commission. So I will stay with him on that.
Excuse me. Isn't it possible for them to replace the windows without having to go to the township?
I'd have to ask Tom Biondi, the code official.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I think we've run
never
into
read through the new state regs that, it's someone else's job that talk about, that made it a lot freer for homeowners to do work on a property without permits.
Mhm.
But he understands that, okay, we're behind the 8 ball here, and this is just the way it is. If they're not required to do that, and they know that, and they just decide to go ahead, we'll have no warning about it.
Right.
But if they step foot in the buildings department and say, hey, I want to do XYZ at 29 South Valley Road, that's going to trigger a response. And they're going to tell him, well, even though you do not need a permit, you cannot do anything until you've been before the Historic Preservation Commission. And then Tom will call me, and then we'll deal directly with the property owner to make sure that they come before us.
Just don't want to see another St. Mark's.
Yeah, and this is always the possibility, because if the rules were more strict that you needed a permit to do any and everything, it would be easy. But the rules were never that strict, and then they got a lot looser with the change in the state regulations. And by the way, the congregation did go ahead and replace the windows in the parsonage. You may recall they came before us a couple of years ago, and we had a long discussion about it and told them not to proceed until they came back to us with better drawings. Well, they ignored that and they just replaced the windows. But for those of us who've dealt with them since the fire in 2016, that shouldn't be a surprise. All right, and then the last item, and we discussed this at the last meeting, since we have the report, that we really do want to move forward with the designation process for the equestrian center. Well, I have to, again, double check all the procedures for that, so we dot all the I's, cross all the T's. We'll try and get that going, get that process going in September. And that's all I have, folks. Anyone have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
At 8:48, we have 12 minutes left.
Brian,
That's
just,
a new record.
Joe, we haven't heard from you tonight. Would you like to add something, please?
yeah, just a suggestion to keep in mind, talking about the regulation. If there is something that the commission needs to help them from an ordinance point of view, we have as you probably know, a much more independent council these days, and I've heard significant support for preservation. So if there's anything that you and the entire group think would help from an ordinance point of view, I would be willing to take that forward.
Any idea what form that might take?
Well, it would just be the ordinance to better regulate. I'll say better regulate the usage of historic and preserved homes, or those that are sort of on the margin and not sure which way they're going to go. It certainly doesn't have the force of state or federal regulation, but if it's something that could help, for example, with the Condit House, I think the council would give it more than due consideration. Just something to start thinking about if you need anything from the council from an ordinance point of view, local law.
Right. Could it be something as simple as any property that appears on the official list of local designated local historic landmarks would require, review and approval by the HPC for any exterior work on the property? Could it be something as targeted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty darn reasonable to me. So if you want to start thinking about that, or think about drafting and stuff, we can start that process and do some research and see if there are other municipalities who are also taking special care of their historic and preserved properties.
You know what? I should probably give the head of the HPC and Kate May a call. I have a minor, I'll call it a minor relationship with him, and just see how they handle it. Because, with that giant historic district there, how do they handle things within their building department? Let me give him a call and ask him. And he might have a good example for me.
Yeah, he probably knows the ordinances down there very well, so he can just sort of give us some links.
That is a very strong HPC. After getting the historic districts in place, municipality actually changed the ordinance for the HPC and actually gave it authority. I mean, he can get out his ticket book and go issue fines. All we can do is wave our arms at somebody. But he told me he does it too. He said, you dip a brush and you just painted your house purple, you are in trouble. So yeah, let me give him a call and see if he could offer some advice.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Good
Thank
idea.
you for helping offering to shepherd that. That would be great. Anything else, folks? No? Okay. 8:52. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all. I'll see you on September 3rd. Good night.
Have a wonderful
Thanks,
rest of your
thanks
summer.
everybody. Good meeting. Good meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heath.